What's going on, guys? Nick Sakha here, and this is the newest episode of A1 Agents. I've got the very first non-insurance agent on this series. He goes by the name of, it's a really cool name. His name is Nick. Nick McGarry. I met Nick. I connected with him last year. He is one of my mortgage partners. We became friends first, and now he's one of my mortgage partners. He runs a mortgage company that services the entire nation. He averages roughly over $100 million
Yep.
in loan sales every single year. He's built a crazy team of roughly 30 people.
Yep, 30 guys.
30 people, and the atmosphere here is electric. I'm inspired. I can't wait. I wanted him on this series because what we do as insurance agents is literally no different. It's sales.
Right.
And when I just watching him on social media, I was like, I got to get this guy on my series because I know if he's inspired me from the insurance industry, he will likely be able to impact you guys with what he's built here. As you guys can see, we've definitely added a bunch of B-roll on the environment here, and you'll get hopefully some insights. So, Nick, thank you for being with me today.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. So, Nick, tell us about your story.
So, I got into mortgages when I was fresh out of high school. My dad told me about an opportunity with a new program called HARP 2.0 that was coming out, and he saw an opportunity for us to make some money. So I got into the industry. I started studying for my exam. It took me a while, actually, to get my license. I failed the test 4 times. Now, keep in mind, I didn't study at all my first couple. I was told that if I was doing good in the class, that I'd most likely pass the test. And I was getting 90s, 95s in the class. But anywho, it took me like 9 months to eventually pass my test. During that time, I was in the setup department, quality control department, and I was a loan officer assistant, so I was really getting an inside look as to what it is a loan officer does, and that was very beneficial for my career. Once I decided to make the jump into being a loan officer, I kind of already had some of the main tools down and knew some of the processes to actually get it done. So that's when I started becoming a loan officer, and I wasn't doing too great my first couple of years. I was meeting with agents, but I had a baby face. I was 18 years old, very green, and it was tough, very tough for me to get deals. So I ended up actually getting out of the industry and started my own small business. Did that for about 18 months. Ultimately, I got burned, lost everything, and had to start over. And that's when I knew I was going to get back into mortgages because, first and foremost, it's the largest commission check you can cash. I haven't seen very many commissions checks that can match a mortgage.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get back in and build my business, and then I started in the call center. It really gained some traction. I didn't really want to look back, so I stuck it through.
I want you to tell the audience about your story selling blunt wraps.
Yeah.
You went from, and I might title it this way, but from selling blunt wraps to selling $1 million mortgages.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So a couple buddies of mine, we were talking one day on the phone, and we came up with an idea for blunt wraps to be hemp wraps. Instead of made out of tobacco, let's make them out of hemp. And one of my buddies actually really ran with the idea, started the manufacturer, and met with some people in Dominican Republic that could help us produce it. And we ended up selling it. Now, we had no idea what we were doing when we first started. And it actually taught me a lot about failure.
Okay.
Because when I first started, I was just going smoke shop to smoke shop, as many smoke shops as I could, and I'm selling them 1, maybe 2 cartons of blunt wraps for $20 a carton. And I was doing that, putting a lot of work in day after day, and ultimately I was failing. Little did I know, even though I'm making sales, I'm actually failing because I'm only selling 1 to 2 cartons. And I know that's not what Swisher was doing, right? Mm-hmm. I know there's no way that's what they're doing. And so I set out one day to sell an entire master box, is what we called it, which was 25 cartons. And I set out to sell not just 1 carton, not 2 cartons, but I want to sell somebody the entire master box. And the first smoke shop I went to, I ended up selling them all 25.
Wow.
And then that person actually introduced me to a distributor who distributes to smoke shops. So in failing, you learn the right way to do it.
Right.
I was going to smoke shops, which was the complete wrong idea. But in me taking action and doing that, I ran into a distributor who I can make even bigger sales to, who introduced me to a wholesaler who I can make even bigger sales to. So that was a huge learning lesson for me. That whole experience, those 18 months, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a lot by failing, by things not going right, living paycheck to paycheck, trying to make the business happen. And that's where a lot of my sales experience came from too.
Yeah. And it's really cool. I tell my team all the time that you got to learn sales if anybody wants to start a business someday. And even in that video you were just playing for your team with Grant Cardone,
Yep.
He literally said something that I've said, so I'm like, cool, I'm on the right path, which is sales doesn't stop with your product. You got to sell your team. You got to sell your team on why they should show up every day. Why should they come work for you? New candidates, new hires. Sales is something that doesn't go away, and so I'm glad we're getting you to talk about it. Talk to us about, I think the coolest thing about your office is the environment, is the culture that you've created. You want to talk about how, did you just fumble around and just start throwing things in there, like the jumping jacks, and then, how did all this come about?
Honestly, all of that stuff came from Grant Cardone. Okay. That's typically how he runs his meetings, even down to starting it at 9:05. There's like psychology behind setting your appointments at 9 and your meetings at 9. People are going to be late. But if you set it at a very exact time, like 9:05, way less people are going to be late for that meeting, because you're setting it at 9:05, and when you tell somebody our meeting starts at 9:05, in their head, what do they think? What time do they think it starts?
They need to be there at 9.
At 9.
Yeah.
And then you start at 9:05, and everybody's there. It gives for a couple minutes of leeway time.
Okay. And so obviously we came in here. It's loud, it's noisy. It woke me up a little bit, right? And you got the bell. You're going over successes. Talk about the whole talk about it from seed to supplement.
Yeah. So we like to do the successes in the morning. So we'll come in here. We'll start with 20 minutes of training, because if you're not training every single day, which is the easiest thing sales organizations can do, but they aren't doing, is training every day. A lot of mortgage companies that I've previously worked at, now we're salespeople, it's known. Mortgage loan officers are salespeople, but there was no sales training at any of these 6 companies, not one stitch of sales training provided.
Right.
A lot of our sales training was having insurance agents come in and pitch the team about different insurance that they offer, or having escrow agents come in and pitch the team about why we should use them for escrow. And it was never actually, what objections are you hearing today? Why didn't you get a deal yesterday? What were some of the things that stopped you, and how did you overcome that? How did we get better from that? None of that was going on. So we train for 20 minutes, then we'll do our successes, which will go over any of the wins from yesterday, so any files that got submitted, clear to close, approved. We'll highlight when somebody does something for the first time. Let's say a new processor just got her first file submitted and approved. And we'll really give her praise for that, because that goes even further than money,
right.
And further than, bonuses and things like that. People just want to be appreciated.
Right. And
they want to be recognized when they got out of their comfort zone, they learned how to do something new for the team, and they did it, Rewarding them for that and giving them a round of applause is huge.
And the bell too. Yeah. I literally, during his team meeting, I went on Amazon, I ordered a bell. I was like, I need one of those. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
Because it wakes them up. It's 9:05. We're like, let's go. Let's get it going. Because that's what it's about. You want these people to be excited, enthusiastic when they're having those first couple phone calls, especially not only in sales, but in the sales climate that we're in, telemarketing. These guys are going through it every single day.
How many dials do they make in a day?
Roughly 200 to 300 dials.
Okay.
And that's for the prospectors that are outbound dialing. Now the loan officers, they should be making about 100 calls a day.
Okay.
They're probably making 60 right now.
I wonder if it's the same as our industry, insurance, where my telemarketer's making 400 to 500 calls a day, 350 and up usually, and they're measured on how many transfers they get over to the sales team, whereas the sales team, your number one goal is talk time, like just talking on the phone. I measure the minutes, like, are you building good rapport? Are you, connecting with them, providing the value, so on and so forth. So is that kind of the same?
Yeah, oh, most definitely. And we have a software, it's called Shape, where we can track talk time, text messages, emails, phone calls, all of that stuff. And it's, what I just got done telling my partner, sales is a numbers game. Simple as that. So no matter how good you are or how bad you are, it's a numbers game. If my conversion is, let's say 10%, but yours is 20, I'm literally going to have to work twice as hard as you, make twice as many phone calls as you to produce the same results. Okay, now that's one way to do it. The second way would be for me to get better. So you either have to do more or you have to get better to accomplish the same results. Okay, so we have a software that tracks the amount of actions they're taking, because even if you're not great, if you're taking sufficient action, you're going to get sufficient results. If you're making minimum 100 calls a day, even if you're, rusty, you haven't practiced, you're not very good, you're going to produce a result. You're going to produce much more than if you're making 20 calls a day.
Right.
So it just comes down to the action, and then through taking action, you're going to get better. You can role play, making sales calls, that's technically role playing. Mm-hmm. You're getting better, and that's why we choose to role play with each other in the morning.
Yeah, I love that,
15, 20 minutes, because we work all the kinks out. Mm-hmm. And everybody is role playing different things. For a brand new dialer, he may just be trying to get through the application and just make sure that he has all the questions he needs to ask memorized and in order. Okay, but for an LO, he may have lost a deal yesterday because of the VA funding fee, and he wasn't able to handle that objection and get the client to understand why it makes sense, and he lost that deal. So he may hit his partner with that objection and see how they would handle it.
Right.
And if they need to, they'll bring it to me, and I'll tell them how to handle it.
Okay. So you got the getting in the peaks. You got the 10 to 20 minute training.
Yep.
You got the successes.
Yep,
right.
That takes about 5 minutes.
Highlight the successes. You got the jumping jacks.
Yep.
And then you got the role playing.
Yep.
Role playing for 5 minutes roughly.
Yeah, role play. It should take about 5-6 minutes each person. So about another 10-15 minutes.
You do anything midday? Do you do check-ins, accountability?
Yeah. So one thing that one change that I made that was a huge help. Before, we used to let people just take their lunch freely whenever they want, because people are working long hours, working till 7, 8 o'clock anyways. So some people would take a lunch at 2, some people would take a lunch at 12, some would take it at 3, and it was kind of all over the place.
Is it in unison now?
And now it's in unison.
Yep. We made that same change.
Yeah. It helps for the energy, because you take 3 people out of the room, 3 out of the 10, it's going to bring that whole energy down of the entire team. And especially when people are just now coming back from lunch, they have food in their system, they're a little bit more lethargic, you have to wake them up again. So when they get back from lunch at 1 o'clock, we'll do another GC video, because he condensed his courses now. So instead of like little 3 to 5 minute videos, he has 10, 15, 20 minute videos.
Okay.
So we'll do just one of those and then one at lunch.
Okay. What else do you do as far as, do you listen to phone calls?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Of course, yeah.
You do that yourself, or you have your team doing it? Or?
Yeah, so I've trained, now I'm at a point where I'm trying to recreate myself as a manager. So I'm training Kevin, which is Ian's twin brother, and then Zach. I'm training them exactly how I would review the calls. So they'll come in, we'll review the calls, I'll show them some things I'm looking for. Like, for example, if I see a client was on the line with a new prospector for 10 minutes, but it was marked recycle or we didn't get the application, I know for sure that guy was interested. No doubt about it. He just either A, isn't qualified, or B, didn't get the information he needed, because he sat on the phone for 10 minutes with a new rep. Okay, so those aren't always the easiest phone calls to sit through, and he sat there for 10 minutes. That guy's interested.
Right, 100%.
There is a level of interest. So that's where I'll start. I'll look at phone calls that are a little bit longer than they should be, and we didn't get the result we were looking for. I'll start there.
Okay.
And I found my biggest VA purchase by reviewing phone calls, and the new rep completely butchered the call because they were confused, because the guy was living in the home he was buying. He was in a rent-to-own. But that's a new scenario for the rep. So he moved on. I called the guy back, same day, $975,000 purchase on a VA loan. He lived in the home.
Wow.
Super easy.
You make them do redemption calls?
Yeah, follow-up calls for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. and we'll review them as a team in front of everybody.
Okay.
And not just for actually going through the calls and identifying like this is where you messed up, here are the things that you need to adjust. Not only that, but the value comes from them knowing that we review calls.
Okay.
So now that they know we review calls 2 to 3 times a week, they're way more on top of their game on the phones because they know it's being checked.
Yep. If you run an insurance agency and you're watching this, make sure you gotta what's the word? Inspect what you expect.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And if you're not doing that, if they know you're not going to watch it, they're not going to give their 100% on every call. And yeah, and I think a good coaching opportunity, you might agree, is as you are listening to these phone calls to find the good, even if there's not much good to find. You got to highlight something. Yeah. I really like your tone right here. Yeah, you know what I mean? You did a great job, great energy. It's just you were very passive towards the close.
Yeah, because you don't want to feel like you're attacking them.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it can come across like that because, you know, you're giving them real raw advice and very blunt. In sales, you have to be blunt.
Yeah.
You know, so that is very important. I always like to end on a positive.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll load up calls that I know are really bad, and then I'll load up one where I know this guy did a great job, pulled the entire application, resold the client, and then I'll show that call last, and we'll do a round of applause, and make that guy feel good, because it is you could review my calls and you'll find mistakes.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody can get better.
100%.
You know.
Yeah. So, what are you most proud of, man? In these last, you've grown really, really fast. I mean, I'm watching your story one day, and it's like a pretty small niche group of people, and then I watch it literally like a couple months later, and it's just like, it's like the whole office is filled.
Yeah, we went through a big hiring spree, and before we did that, we wanted to make sure we were prepared. We had all the training materials and videos shot so that when these guys came in, we knew how we were going to handle them, how we were going to onboard them, and how we were going to get them to the results quickly.
Okay.
But my biggest thing that I'm most proud of has got to be my people. You know, like seeing friends of mine, like Roger, he's my right-hand man. He really helped me out a lot personally and in my business to get us to where we're at here. So, a lot of these guys, Zach is another one who's really starting to show what he's here for and what he wants to accomplish. And it's great seeing that, because these guys came to me. Zach was probably 19 when he started working for Ian. Super young guy. 2 months ago, he made $35,000 in a month. And he's 22 years old right now. So that's refreshing to see. Is that we can actually mold somebody into a top producer, change somebody's life essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, $30,000 in 1 month. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was huge for him, and that really picked up the pace around the entire office. Seeing somebody hit 35K like that, he set his mind to a goal, hit it, and now it picked up the energy all around.
It shows everybody else what's possible.
Yeah, because he just went out and bought a new Range.
Yeah,
awesome. You can't deny that. He went from a Honda Civic to a Range.
Yeah.
And you can't. People see it every day.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. So, circling this back to insurance agents, if insurance agents are watching this, a big priority for us is making partnerships with mortgage officers and loan officers, because if we're being honest, it's not dealership business. Dealership business isn't the greatest, but mortgage business, home policies, they don't shop you as often as as people shop car insurance. Right. Home insurance, they just let it sit there for a couple years, and so the retention is great on that business. We love mortgage officers, we love loan officers, we love working with them, but it's a challenge, getting to partner with them. And so I wanted to hear it from your perspective, the guy that runs the mortgage company, right? And he has his loan processors in the other office. I would love to even go ask them.
We should get them on video.
What do insurance agents need to do to be able to earn your trust, to earn your partnership as it relates to you and all the clients that you guys are dealing with on a monthly basis?
I think this goes across the board for building partnerships in general, but communication is huge. Mm-hmm. Communication and speed is the top two things, because even if you can't get something done right now, if you let me know, hey, I'm going to get it done at 1 o'clock, that's a whole lot better than you just calling me back at 1 o'clock, because I may take that as you know, he's not going to be able to get this done for me. I'm going to have to go get it from somebody else, right? So that's number one, is just communication and speed, getting the quotes as quick as possible. Now, we don't need them within 24 hours. That's not how it works. You know, we relatively need them within 3 to 4 days, you know? Like, we're not asking for the quickest turn times.
Right.
Some loan officers out there might be expecting 24-hour turn times or whatever it is. I'm not one of those guys, because we're a little bit ahead of the game. All I ask is for clear communication. And then sometimes we run into challenges where the dwelling coverage may not be accurate. And believe it or not, we've had times where our lender's telling us, hey, we have to increase the coverage, and our agent is giving us a hard time about increasing the coverage. You know?
Okay.
And that might be hard to believe, but it happens where they're like, no, this is supposed to be this way. Well, no, we need it this way in order to get the deal done. So, yeah.
It's really just
communication.
Yeah, just taking care of your clients, just like you take care of any clients, right? And it's not rocket science. I think it comes down to making friends first. Like, you don't want, like, when you walk into an office, right, and you don't go there and throw up on people and say, hey, my name is Nick, I'm an insurance agent, blah 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 blah. But if it's like the third or fourth time you're visiting an office, assuming that you're welcome there, and now you know people on a first name basis, now you're like shooting the crap, talking about your favorite sports teams, talking about everything other than your profession. I feel like once you get to know people, and that, like you and I, we're talking about YouTube. We're talking about. I mean, we really didn't spend much time talking about what we did, or we were just kind of just developing that relationship.
Yeah, and that's super important, because people do business with people they like. You know, and that's just on a personal level. I did business with you on the insurance side, not because of the rates or the policy or any of that stuff, but it's like, all right, I want to do business with Nick. I like what he's doing. I like the energy he has, and I want to support that. I want to do business with someone like that, and I hope that you would want to do business with me as well. But the point is, you do business with people you like. Simple as that.
Absolutely. Mortgage officer, loan officers, you guys don't really care about $20 gift cards or Starbucks being delivered. It's a cool gesture. It's a cool thought, but it's not really like, oh, cool, thanks for the Starbucks, thanks for the donuts, right? And a lot of insurance agents think that that's what you got to do.
No. That is, no. A lot of people do that in general. They'll bring the Jimmy John's or like a box of Krispy Kremes, and yeah, that's great, but you're selling Krispy Kreme and Jimmy John's. You're not selling yourself here. Yeah. Like, you didn't tell us anything about, why we should work with you. And that's another thing. I feel like they'll come in and not ask for the business. Like, they don't just straight up ask for the business, or they may be asking the wrong guy. Like, people will come in here and they might think, oh, Nick is running the show here. I'm going to ask him for the business. Which, yes, I could make that call and say, all of our business is now going to this insurance agency. But at the same time, I'm so far removed from that process because I'm managing the closings, the fundings, balancing with escrow. I'm at, more of the back. That's more of the initial setup. You got to talk to the assistants, the processors, whoever's running the processing team.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah, those are the ones that are going to control your business. If they like you, they're going to send you business. Because when a loan officer asks for a quote from their assistant or their processor, that processor is going to go and get a couple quotes, maybe 2 or 3 quotes from whoever she wants to. When I hire a loan officer, it's not like they're coming over like, here's my Rolodex, here's all the insurance agents I like to work with, here's the escrow agents I like to work with. No, they get a loan in and they put it through our system, and our system is set up to where the processors and assistants are ordering those quotes. So if they like you, maybe if you're going to bring Starbucks for anybody in the office, bring it for the assistants. Bring it for the processors, because they're the ones that are actually sending out that 1003 to get a quote. That's
gold, man. That's going to be the one that I chop into a little clip right there for all my insurance agents.
It's super important. And that's what I was going to say. One thing that stuck out to me for this insurance agent, he used to come by every week, if not every 2 weeks, and he'd bring his son, and he would talk to everybody, on that personal level, like you were talking about sports, what they did this weekend, maybe a concert, things like that, while the little 5-year-old kid is going and handing out cards and candy to everybody and making sure that these people have his information to actually order quotes. And that guy got all of our business at that time.
That's awesome.
You know? I don't know where he's at now, but that was 3-4 years ago. But that really worked. And just showing up and being a personable guy, that's going to go a long way.
Just making friends, just not really there to sell anything, but just, hey, I'm here, I'm available if you guys need anything. And
exactly.
Connecting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you were telling me some of the future plans that you have. You want to tell the audience, I guess, without going into too much details, you know, what some of the vision is?
Yeah, most definitely. So we're obviously looking to expand. Right now we're in 7 states currently. I'm personally licensed in like 15, but we're in 7 states as a company, and this year I'm looking to expand that into 20 states. And my idea behind that is just get a bigger net. You know, that's one of the easiest ways to increase your numbers is just to get a bigger net, get a bigger market. You know, if you're in Nevada right now, get Nevada and California, and you should be able to double your income.
Right.
You know, so that's what my big focus is. And I want to open a branch in Dallas and Miami. And that's a big reason of why I'm doing all of this content, because I have the blueprint. I have the plan. I can bring somebody that's super green, that doesn't know about interest rates, doesn't have much sales background, and I can get them to a point of not only can they sell a loan, but now they can close a loan and earn that commission as well. And I'm looking to do that in other areas like Miami and Dallas.
So the blueprint's here. You figured out how to scale this.
Yep.
Do you have remote workers or no?
I do actually. I have 2 of my YouTube subscribers actually work for me now. One of them flew out from Washington D.C., found me on YouTube, flew out from Washington D.C., stayed here for like 3 weeks, and got some really good hands-on training. And now he's back in D.C. and he's a little sick right now with COVID, so he's not actually selling, but he was and he will be when he's fully recovered.
Very cool. So, and speaking of your YouTube channel, Nick is pretty similar to me, right? Now we only don't share our names, but we kind of have a similar niche. I'm doing what he's also doing for the mortgage industry. He's already come out. I think you have like maybe 10 videos on your channel.
Yep.
He's about to scale that. He has a bunch in his, I guess, a bunch of ammo that he's waiting to drop, here soon.
Yep.
And but how can people find you, Nick?
So you can find me on YouTube at Mortgage McGarry. Same with Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Those are where you can find me. Now, if you come across my YouTube and you have questions, whether it's about getting licensed as a loan officer, making your first sale, or even if you're dealing with a live file and you have a situation that you can't get by, your management isn't available or not helping you out, send me a DM on Instagram. We'll set up a call, and I'm here to help. Okay, I want to grow, the mortgage industry as a whole, because it's a great opportunity for a lot of people, but it's like the best kept secret. Because
I think the same thing about insurance.
Seriously, because people you don't learn about mortgages in college. There's no even courses online outside of your pre-license and education. There's no courses that teach you about actually doing mortgages. So that's why I say it's the best kept secret, because people normally get in the industry when they're 35, 40 years old, and it's because they had a buddy who just showed them a commission check.
Right.
Or told them about what they're doing and how much they're making and all of these things. And then people realize it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's not all about the money. I mean, what we do is really rewarding in itself, because we work with lower FICO, lower credit profile veterans who most big banks aren't approving. If they have less than a 620, some of these big banks, I won't say any names, but they're not going to approve you.
Yeah.
Because they only want to take the cream of the crop. Whereas we're a small mortgage lender that specifically likes to specialize in VA loans. So we're able to help these guys with 580s, 590s, who never thought they could ever own a home. We're actually able to help them fix their credit and actually purchase a home and use the VA loan that they went and served our country to receive those benefits. We're helping them utilize it. And some of them, 60 years old, they're buying their first house.
Wow.
70 years old, they served in NAM. They've had this 0% down program available to them, but they've never taken advantage of it because they either A, weren't informed enough about how to take advantage of it, or B, were turned down by these big banks that are only accepting cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So it's rewarding. You're getting these veterans into homes. It feels good. Yeah.
I worked with U.S. Bank for 7 years, and they only wanted they were so picky about who they would approve, who they wanted. So your company is able to get resourceful, meet people where they are, and help more than just the cream of the crop, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I always tell people too, look, worst case, because I can hear the hesitancy from people when I'm selling them, and I can tell it's a credit thing. Like, they're really interested, they want to buy a home, but they're not qualified, and that's why they're being hesitant. And I'll tell them, and this opens them right up, look, if I can't get you approved today, I'm not going to tell you no and send you away. I'm going to tell you, you're not qualified today, this is what we need to do to get qualified. Whether it's 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, I'm here to guide you through that process and help you every step of the way. I mean, some clients, it's as simple as calling them every 2 weeks to make sure they paid their credit card bill. You know?
Yep.
Or make sure they stored 10% of their earnings.
Wow. That's going above and beyond. I love that.
Yeah.
It's never no, it's just not right now.
Not right now. Yeah, simple as that. There's no problem that enough documentation can't solve, realistically.
Yeah. All right, and my last question for you, Nick, is how I end every A1 Agent series.
Let's hear it.
And A1 stands for to the highest of standards, right? So the highest of quality, highest of standards. And how I wanted to relate that to my interviews is, or my guests on these interviews, is what are 3 standards, whether that's you personally or, for your business, what are 3 standards that you live by?
So number 1 is I like to be brutally honest and transparent. So there is no filter. What I'm thinking, you're going to hear. Okay. And I think that works really well to keep an open line of communication, and it actually builds trust, because I'm willing to tell you the things that and you may not want to hear, but you need to hear them. So that's number 1. Number 2 is negativity. I do not tolerate negativity, especially in sales. Like, you have to be positive. Don't bring someone else down because you're dealing with X, Y, or Z. Keep that to yourself. Now, obviously, there's a time and place if you need help or whatever it is, but I'm big on no negativity, and then no excuses. Okay. You can't make an excuse. People know what they're here for. You know why you showed up to my office. You know why you joined the team. Don't give me bullshit excuses. And especially dealing with 19, 20-year-olds, okay, that are new to the workforce in general. Yeah. They may think that they're being slick with some of their excuses, but I'm sure you deal with it all the time too. Yeah. We know when it's bullshit, Like, whether or not it's a good excuse or a qualified excuse, we know. So
I actually almost appreciate when somebody just says, I screwed up.
Yeah.
Just tell me, just
it's refreshing.
Just, hey, I messed up, man. Yeah. That's it. I'm late because I messed up.
Exactly.
I won't even give you an excuse as to why.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I'm not even going to waste your time with this excuse, Yeah. And these guys know, too, like, when they're texting me, like, oh, I'm running late, this or that, whatever, I don't even respond. I could show you hundreds of excuses that I just don't even respond to because I won't engage. Yeah. So those are my 3. What are your 3?
You know what? I've never been asked that. I've never even put any thought into mine. I've always just asked other people's. My first one has always been know your whys. That's why you're doing it, because it gets hard. What we do is hard. Life is hard, and if we don't know why we're doing it, it's easy to give up. It's easy to fold. It's easy to not want to give 100%.
Most definitely.
But I always think about my whys, and what your whys can be anything. It can be places you want to travel. It could be your mom still works and you're sick of it. It can be you want to be a public speaker someday, right? Yep. And those are a couple things those are some of my whys. But know your whys, because that's going to pull you towards your goals versus you feeling like you have to push yourself. And then I literally just heard Grant Cardone say that.
It's crazy. It's refreshing watching him.
God, my second standard is health. Man, it's got to be take care of my health, because it's just because the way I feel, it doesn't take any discipline for me to go get a workout, because for me it's so refreshing. It's exerting that energy, and just getting rid of maybe the toxins or the stress that we hold on to all day long. I mean, things are trying to attack our immune system, and we deal with stress and employees or just things that happen, and if we don't exert that energy, I feel like it just gets bottled up, and that's what creates these disease and stuff like that. So take care of your health, man. That's why I created barbells and briefcases. And my third standard has to be, I guess, just love people. I lead with my heart, and I think that at the end of the day, all this other stuff really is not going to matter. It's just going to be all about how we treated people, how we made them feel, and that's what matters at the end of all this. So
those are good, man. Those are very powerful. He made mine seem really shallow there.
No, mine's. Well, I asked you
those are good.
I asked you about business or personal. So I think you came more from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
I came more of a personal standpoint.
Which is huge. Those are very important.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong in yours. But I came up with those on the fly. I never even put any thought into it. But those are what I.
Those are good, man.
Those are what I stand for, man. That's what I love. So, Nick, want to acknowledge you. Thank you for the person you are. I'm glad I got to get to know you as a friend over this last year. And dude, you're how old are you?
I am 25 years old.
25. Dude, 7 years younger than me and absolutely crushing it. Love what you got going on. Dude, you're going to do so much. And I'm pumped to see it, man. So follow Nick. If you're interested in mortgage, he's always looking for people, just like I'm always looking for people. And he seems like a hell of a leader to work for or work with. So
yeah, most definitely.
So Nick, thank you again for your time, brother.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
appreciate it. And I'm gonna have to stop by your office and check out.
Come by, man. Come by. We could use some of your tips. So
let's do it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.